Good morning. This month, Daf Yomi is sponsored by Mr. and Mrs. Moishi and Susie Fetter. Le'iloi Nishmas, Mrs. Fetter's father, Simcha Aryeh ben Yosef Tzvi, Zichron Levracha, whose yortzeit was on the 17th of Iyar. Daf Yomi for the week, sponsored by Yehuda Greenwood and Jeffrey Wald, in honor of Mr. Harold Loiterman's 80th birthday, is 120! Exclamation mark. And Daf Yomi for the week, sponsored by Reb Aaron and Evelyn Kislasli, Le'ilei Nishmas, Reb Aaron's father, Shmuel ben Yaakov, whose yortzeit is on the 13th of Sivan. Amazing. Okay. So let's start, guys. What? Yeah, let's do it. We're on Lamed Gimel Lamed Beis at the Mishnah. Mishnah begins Mashbiya. So we're talking about what's called Shevuos Ha'edus, which is a parsha in the Torah and V'yikra, where you basically approach witnesses and you adjure them, you adjure them to come and testify on your behalf. If they don't come, and if they don't come, and later they want to do tshuva, all right, because in other words, if they were koifer, if they denied knowing anything, and then later they decided to do tshuva, there's a whole process for how they have to do tshuva. They have to pay back. They have to bring an asham offer. They have to bring an offering, and they have to bring back with chomesh. There's a whole process. Anyway, so here, but there is conditions. There's conditions, and there are details connected to this mitzvah. So let's see what they are. Mashbi ani aleichem. So here's one example the Mishnah gives. Mashbi ani aleichem. A person comes and adjures, I am adjuring you, meaning he's speaking to two witnesses. Im lo tavo v'ta'idu shani kohen. So he's saying, you have to come and adjure that you must come and testify that I am a Kohen. Okay? Now, why would somebody be, he wants to get the Kohen privileges. He wants to get Kohen privileges, and he needs two witnesses to step forward. Or, alternative, Shani Levi. I don't know why he's just going for Levi. Once you're already saying it, just go for Cohen. But anyways, he's going for Levi. Shani ben Grusha, that I am the son of a She'eni. Sorry, not She'ani. She'eni ben Grusha, that I'm not the son of a divorcee. Now, why is that important? If a Kohen, if the son of a Kohen is also the son of a Ben Grusha. In other words, let's say his father married a Grusha, a divorcee. So the son is called a Halal, and he cannot serve as a Kohen. So he wants to adjure two witnesses to forswear this and say, no, he's not the son of a divorcee. He's a pure Kohen. Or She'eni ben Chalutza, or I'm not the son of a Chalutza. Chalutza means a woman who had to do the Chalitza for Yevamas. We can't go into Yevamas right now, but the Chalitza, which makes him rabbinically a Halal. Okay. So all of these cases, we had 4 cases so far. She'ish ploini kohen, now it's not talking about himself, he talks about somebody else. I adjure you that so-and-so is a Kohen. She'ish ploni Levi, he said so-and-so is a Levi. She'eino ben Grusha, we're talking about the third party, that he's not a ben Grusha. She'eino ben Chalutza, that he's not the son of a Chalutza. That's another 4 cases. First 4 cases are he's talking about himself. Second 4 cases, he's talking about a third party, but the same cases. And then the last group, Sha'anas ish ploini as bitoy. So then he says, I adjure you witnesses to come forward and testify that Reuven, for example, we'll say Reuven, I hope there's no Reuvens in the room to get insulted. It's always tough if you're a Reuven or a Shimon in a Gemara class. Not good, yeah. So Sha'anas ish ploini, let's say Reuven, we'll call him Reuven, raped at Bitoy, Shimon's daughter. Okay. Now, let's understand, why is this a chiddush? We'll see in a moment. There are financial implications. If he was convicted, if Reuven is convicted of raping a woman, so there is financial implications involved. The Torah does give a fine for doing so. I'm just looking over here what it is. Just give me a second. Yeah. Yeah, it's a 50 shekel fine. It's not like 50 shekels today. I mean, it's not the way it used to. Yeah, 50 shekels used to be something.
It's big money.
Yeah, it was big money. Okay. Upita es bitoi, or he seduced Shimon's daughter, okay, which also involves a fine. Vishechaval bi. Okay, so those are the next two cases. And then vishechaval bi bini, or that my son injured me. Now, if you injure somebody, there's also financial cost to it, but not if your son injures you. If your son injures you, what is that?
He's chayav
Misa, he's dead. Yeah. So no. So we'll see. Just keep that in mind. So he said he's asking two witnesses to come forward and testify that my son injured me. Okay. V'shechaval bi chaveri, and that my friend injured me. Okay. V'shehidlik gadishi. Now this means on Shabbos. My friend injured me on Shabbos, or he shehidlik gadishi b'Shabbos, or he lit on fire my gadish, my bale of hay or whatever it was on Shabbos. Harei elu paturim, on these cases are patur. Now in the last four cases, okay. Shechaval bi b'ni, shechaval bi chaveri, shehidli kadishi, those three cases rather, even though there's a financial implication, okay, but in all those cases, if these people are convicted, they in fact would not have to pay anything because there's a higher punishment that they would be liable to, namely misa. And we have a principle in Jewish law called kimle b'derabba mine, okay? Kimle bid Rabba mine. Okay, it's like it's like a jingle over there. And what it means is you get the more significant, serious crime. So if it's the one act would give you misa or mammon, death or payment, you're getting death and there's no payment. Okay. So what's the chiddush in this mission? This mission, the chiddush is like this: that the Torah with Shevuos Ha'edus is only dealing. Rashi says this already. He says we're only dealing with she'ena inyan medaber ela b'kfiras mammon. The whole parsha of Shevuos Ha'edus, of adjuring witnesses, where they're chayav if they deny, is if they're denying a monetary claim. So all these cases don't apply. Let's see why. Well, in the first four cases, it had nothing to do with monetary issues, did it? It was a change of status that he wanted them to testify. I'm a Kohen, I'm a Levi, I'm not a Ben Grusha, I'm not a Ben Chalutza. He's okay, etc. And it goes farther and farther, bigger chidushim. That now the case of the let's see Rashi on Sha'anas ish ploini or pita bita shaploini, where he either raped Reuven raped or seduced Shimon's daughter. Sha'anas Reuven bita shel Shimon ubita tani ish ploini. Okay, fine. Rashi goes ahead. All right. Does he explain why? Turin. Why? Okay, in these cases, they're all pater. Why? The be'inin sheyishmu mipia toiveya, because first of all, you need to hear it directly from the toiveya. The toiveya means the person who is the claimant. The claimant. So look at these cases. I'm adjuring you, the witnesses, to testify that Reuven raped Shimon's daughter. Well, why are you testifying on behalf of Reuven? Do you have any connection to Reuven? That's the Torah's, the Parsha Shevuos Ha'edus has to be that the claimant comes forth. Can't be somebody on behalf of the claimant. Okay? So we'll see why this is even in the Mishnah in a moment. But that is the problem. Okay? It has to come straight from the Teveya. The Itzrich L'meisnei. Now we need to teach this case, says Rashi, of the Bitoy, okay? Mishum de Mukminin la beba b'harsha. We're going to learn that this case, the Gemara is going to explain that the chiddush is that even though this person was beba b'harsha, was given a permission, so to speak. Now, what does it mean, given permission? This is a
like a shliach.
It's more than a shliach. It's power of attorney. It was given power of attorney by Reuven. All right? Reuven gave him power of attorney, so you might think that he steps into the shoes of the claimant, okay?
Hiring a lawyer to go and round up witnesses.
So to speak, right? So Filu Hachi Rashi says, Eino Baldin Oy Bezu. He's still not a Baldin. That means he still cannot step in as the claimant. Because Kishar Mammon, like other monetary cases, the midi de lo mata liyade ma'olam lo matzi lemichtav harsha iluya. Because something that never came into his hands, you can't write power of attorney over. Meaning to say, you can only write power of attorney, okay, to somebody who once had the money. So let's say Reuven, for example, had claimed that Reuven had lent Shimon money. So the money had once been in Reuven's hands, okay? So on that, you can write a power of attorney to ask somebody to take out that money on your behalf. But when the case of a fine, for example, Anas as BT or Bito, right? It's a fine. That money had never been in the hands of the claimant. So that's not a case that you can then write a power of attorney for. All right, you cannot do that. Okay. Okay. So that's a little complex that case. Let's continue. What about all these other cases? Again, we said it has to be a monetary case, right? So my son wounded me. Again, Potter. Why? There's no financial loss in that case because the son would get misa. He would get death. Shchavel bichaveri v'shishid ligagidisha. Same thing if so and so. He testifies that Reuven wounded me, not my son, but Reuven or Reuven lit on fire my gadish, my bale of wheat. Again, on Shabbos, the law would be chiyuv misa, not mammon, so it doesn't come under the case where they would be chayiv for this korban, okay, if they came and later denied.
You'd be chayiv both. But it would be Kimle de Ravamina.
Kimle B'Daramim. But then this case doesn't fit under the rubric of Shevuos and Mammon. Okay? So let's continue now in the Gemara. Taima the Ish Ploini Koyan, the Ish Ploini Levi. So the Mishnah picks a case specifically where he testifies that when he's talking about a third party, that, for example, Reuven is a Koyan or Reuven is a Levi. Okay? So that's a case which is disqualified from under Shevuos and Mammon. That doesn't come under the category of Shevuos Mammon. But Hamana leploini biad ploini chayavin. But what happens in the parallel case of financial case? What would the parallel financial case be? We're talking about a third party. So the case would be Mana leploini, okay, biad ploini. So Shimon owes Reuven $100. I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about Reuven, okay, so he's owed by Shimon $100. All right? In that case, they would be chayavim. What does it mean they'd be chayavim? They would be what? Obligated, okay, to the korban if they denied. Again, let's go through it. If they denied coming and then later wanted to do tshuva. So if they said, no, we don't know any testimony, and then later wanted to do tshuva, they would have to bring a korban, as per the details in Vayikra, okay, but Shevuos Mammon. So the Gemara says, but how could that be? Haktani Seifa, we learn in the Seifa. Now the Seifa means in the next Mishnah, at the end of the next Mishnah, it says, Achi Yishmu mi pia toiveya, that the witnesses are not chayiv for the korban until they hear it directly from the claimant. So what's the problem? We just made a diuk. We just said, the problem in our Mishnah is not that he's talking about a third party. The problem is that he's talking about a non-monetary issue. He's adjuring them to testify against Reuven that he's a Kohen or Reuven that he's a Levi. But had he been talking about a monetary issue, the implication is they would have been chayav. But how can that be? Because later in the next Mishnah, it's clearly that if you're talking about a third party, that's no good. The third party has to come forth and adjure the witnesses, not you. So the Gemara says, no, Amar Shmuel, what are we talking about? Bibab Beharsha. We're talking about a case The Mishnah obviously is talking about a case where a person is coming with power of attorney. That's what we just said, power of attorney. Okay, so is there a Rashi here that I want to? Yeah. So Rashi says, yeah, Sheminehu apatroifis al kach. He appointed him as a representative. Hilkach itvias momenhi havu mechayev. So if it would have been, so the only problem is that it's not a non-monetary case. Had it been a monetary case, so they would have been chayev. Okay. So the Gemara asks a question. Well, hold on a second. But the Nahardians taught that we don't write power of attorney on chattel. We only write it on land. Now, why is that? Okay. So let's see Rashi. Lefisha eino be'ein, because we don't know. We can't see chattel. So you say, I gave you $100 cash. Well, we don't know where the cash is, right? So therefore, va'edim mi'idim, and what is in the testimony? What are the witnesses? What are they being adjured? Okay, they're being adjured al mashakasuv machmas sheyesh li biyad ploini kach v'kach. They're being adjured, okay, to say, to respond to my power of attorney. My power of attorney says that you. Sheyesh li, that the claimant has biyad ploini, has in such and such person's hand money. But how can they make this testimony when it's not be'ain, when you can't see it? There's a little bit of a falsehood there, isn't there? Okay, so there what?
I'm not following that exactly.
So in the power of attorney. Okay, in the power of attorney, it clearly states that I am empowering you, the Baldin, okay, I'm empowering you uninvolved party. I'm empowering you now, okay, to collect money, okay, or to adjure witnesses, to collect money that I have in such and somebody, so-and-so's possession. So now, how can the witnesses respond to that? Or why should they respond to that? Because at the time when he adjures them, they don't know if he's got money in his possession. They don't know.
He might have paid it back. He might have paid it.
But right now, it says in the power of attorney, it says that they are being adjured, that he's giving permission, okay, for this person to claim money that is in so-and-so's possession. So then it's a falsehood. Then you're basically saying something that's somewhat false if you go ahead and testify on that behalf, because you don't know, it's not be'ain. That's what Rashi says. Okay, that's why
the money.
What?
That he has the money.
Yeah, because maybe he doesn't have it right now. Maybe it's not in his possession. And so therefore
Is that his testimony that he has the money that he
Yes. Let's just take a look here for 1 second here. Yeah. Darsha states, the claimant gave the agent power of attorney over his money that is currently held by the defendant.
Right.
So-and-so is holding my money. In a monetary case, however, the owed money is not technically his until it is collected. Okay, so I said it a little bit wrong. Sorry. Let's do it again. It's money that is his. Yes, it's money that is his that is currently held by the defendant. Okay. However, the owed money is not technically his until it is collected. Hence, although the document is not blatantly false, the witnesses who sign it would be given an impression of falsehood.
I don't understand. What am I missing? It sounds like he's trying to collect the money that's owed to the Baldin.
Right.
So why is that false?
Is it just the wording that's being?
It's the wording. Okay. Again, the Arsha states.
The wording is not that he gave the money to those people. It's that those people are holding his money.
Correct. That the claimant gave the agent power over attorney over his money that is currently held by the defendant.
But why? I don't understand why that's false. What am I missing that's false about that?
So how can they testify if they never saw this? They never saw it happen.
They could give a shvuah that they saw the transaction take place, but they can't give a shvuah as to where the money is now. Maybe the guy who has the money went and sold
right.
it or something. So I think it's maybe the wording of saying that Pliny is holding the money. Is that the issue?
But he's testifying as far as he knows, as far as the Baal Din knows. Like,
The problem
What makes
is,
that
you see, the problem is that they're more limited in what they can say because they're a little bit circumscribed by the wording of the harsha. When you have a harsha, and the harsha is clear that you are going to test, that you have the right to adjure these witnesses, okay, to testify that so and so is holding my money. All right, so my money means that it once was in my possession.
right.
All right. The problem is when you're dealing with money, it's like it's not knowable. With real estate, we know very clearly it used to belong to Reuven, and Shimon's squatting on it, for example. So they can go forth. That's not a problem. But with chattel, it's a lot more difficult to make that claim. Okay, it looks like a sheker. Right now, it's not in his possession. It's not in his possession. It's in Shimon's possession. So how can you make a claim like that? Okay, let's go with that for now. Okay. So, anyways, the Gemara answers and says, "Hani milihecha de kafre, avaloi kafre kosvina." No. So Gemara pushes back and says, yes, it's true that the Nahardians in general don't like making a harsha on metaltalim, on chattel, but that's only when the defendant denies it. If the defendant denies it, okay, look, see, Rashi says, Shekfar nishma she'anitba kafran. We already heard that the defendant has denied that he's holding the guy's money. Dahashta mechze kishichra. Now it looks like a lie. Shechasmu al mashikasu zeh sheyesh libi ad pleni kach v'kach. It looks like the whole harsha is a sheker. Because what does the harsha say? Okay, that I have money in so and so's possession, but the guy denied it. So how can you act on behalf of that harsha? Okay, you can't act on that behalf of that harsha. So harsha is claiming one thing. This guy's saying he never had the money. So how can they go ahead and act on the behalf of that harsha? They cannot. Okay, because the harsha states it as a matter of fact. I have money in such and such possession. I adjure you for, and they're acting on that behalf. How can they do that? They can't do that. Now here he says, Rashi says that shechasmu al mashaka, they sign on it. Maybe that's the problem, is that they actually, I don't know, the witnesses, I don't know if the witnesses sign on it. I would think that the guy with the power, the guy with the power of attorney, the guy who's receiving the power of attorney has to sign on it. So he can't sign on it either, because I can't sign this as a matter of fact that you own that money when the guy's denying it. I can't get involved in this. Okay? All right. So, but if they don't deny, then you can sign. Why not?
Because you can't make a shavua on behalf of the.
We're not talking about shavua. We can't sign. You can't. A harsha requires signature.
Right. No, that I understand.
Yeah. So you can't sign on something that states as a fact that Reuven's money is in the hand of Shimon when Shimon is denying this fact.
Right.
How can you sign on that?
Right, so
It's mechze. Rashi says it's mechze shikra. It looks like a lie.
Right, it's not a lie. That's what I'm saying. He's acting on behalf of the Baal Din.
Right.
But he can't himself make a claim on he could only go
He
as far
can't sign on the harsha to this effect. And since he can't sign on the harsha, he can't act on his behalf. So he's a little bit stuck. Okay, you can't appoint an attorney, so to speak, to act on your behalf, because the attorney would have to sign that it's a matter of fact that you own the money, but he can't sign that because he doesn't know that for a fact. Okay, so let's continue. Okay, so that is why even in the case where it was, all right, where it was mana leploini biad ploini, that Reuven is claiming, okay, that Reuven is claiming that Levi owes Shimon money, 100. Even in that case, if the Adim That's why they would be chayavim. Sorry, that's why they would be chayavim in this case, because we're talking about a case where there was a power of attorney. How do we get around the fact that it's metaltalim? As long as the defendant doesn't deny it, then that's good enough to take away the problem of mechze keshikra, that it looks like a sheker. It doesn't look like a sheker. He didn't deny it. So maybe your money is in fact in. So I can sign. Because maybe it is in fact in the hands of.
Is metaltalim just chattel?
Chattel means movable property.
Right.
Cash, gold, anything like that. Okay. All right. Let's continue here. Now the Gemara now wants to know Tana Rabban, and let's continue. Minayin she'ena kasav medaber ela b'tvias mammon. How do we know that the psukim that talk about Shevuos ha'edus are only dealing with a financial claim? How do you know? Maybe they're dealing with a claim such as we just said before, that so and so is a kohen, that so and so is a Levi. Anytime you adjure witnesses on any issue, if they deny it and then later want to do tshuva, they'd have to bring a korban. But no, it's only on tfias mammon. Why is that? So we have different shitas here. Okay, so Rebbe Eliezer Oimer. All right, nemar kan oyin v'nemar lahalan oyin. Okay, so oyin is a funny word, right? Think this is Yiddish suddenly. Oyin, oyin. Okay, no, it's not Yiddish. It's oin. Two o's. Okay. So it says here in the parsha of. So you're gonna have to follow along here, either in the Chumash or in the Torah or. Okay. It says in the parsha two oin, two o's. Let's take a look. V'neshvesh kisecheta. If you have a person, he sins. How does he sin? V'shama kol Allah. He heard a demand with a curse, okay, to come forth. V'hu aid, and he's a witness. Oy ra'a oy yada. He either saw or he knows. Im lo yagid v'nasa avoino. If he doesn't speak out the testimony, he bears his guilt. Okay, so it says over there, right? V'nemar lahalan o'in. And it says later oin by another type of shavua called Shevuos HaPikadon. Shevuos HaPikadon is where you adjure witnesses regarding a deposit, specifically about a deposit, not about money owed from a sale, but a deposit. I deposited with so and so. We would do this against the banks because they would deny our deposits. Okay, so it says here in the pasuk. V'nefesh ki techta umala mal. Let's say you have a person who sins, and he was moel. How do you translate moel? V'kichesh ba'mito, and he denied his friend b'pikadon with a deposit. I'm looking at the next pasuk. Oy b'tzumas yad, or again, it's a type of deposit. Oy b'gezel, or something he stole, or ashek, or so it is money that he extorted from him. In all of these cases, all right, there's a shavua again. So again, it says Again, there's a pattern of two oins. Just like over there with regards to Shevuos HaPikadon. We know it's only talking about money. How do we know that? Okay. All right, the Gemara doesn't explain why, but actually, I mean, it's pretty explicit. It says pikadon, it says gezel. It actually speaks out in the case of pikadon what the demand on the witnesses was. These were financial demands. So afkan eino medaber el b'tvias mammon. We have like a gezerah shava type thing, okay, whereby although the Gemara doesn't present it as a gezerah shava, I don't think it's more like. Maybe it is type of gezerah shava, where it's to the two owings, okay? So here too, it's only talking about tfias mammon, because we follow the same pattern. So Gemara says, hold on a second, owing de roitzeach yochichu, shehen oyin, umidabim shaloi b'tfias mammon. But hold on a second, the Gemara says, there's two O's when it comes to the parsha of rotzeach.